What is this thing all about? This frequent report is a concise audio presentation derived from a conviction that we must stand up and teach the truth of the gospel of God's grace in the person and work of Jesus Christ, and discern test what is being taught and practiced by so-called Christian pastors and leaders today as well as throughout church history. Every individual report, or episode, is intended to be as concise as possible and to the point in regard to the crux of each particular issue at hand. I have wrestled for a long time with whether I should start naming names, and I have come to a point where I think it is very necessary. These names tested will not be names that come from private conversation with those who are not a preacher, teacher, pastor, leader. Those will remain anonymous, though still tested. But those in the public arena who fill a position behind the pulpit and are a leader in a professing Christian organization are to be dealt with publicly. Anyone in this position should be prepared for this, myself included. It comes with the position. Within the pages of Scripture, various authors had no problem naming names, pointing out certain people to be aware of. 1 Timothy 1:19, 20, 2 Timothy 4:14, 3 John 1:9, 10, and more. This flowed from their deep love and burden for their people as they felt it necessary to warn them of imminent danger. Today in our hypersensitive American church culture, if someone does this, they are looked at as causing division and having a combative spirit. But this is utterly backwards. Remember critical thinking and how it used to be taught and encouraged. But today it is like the unpardonable sin to really test what Christian people say and teach, let alone talk about what they say and teach. We live in a day where tolerance is like the 11th commandment, and it is at the expense of truth. Today professing Christians need to be warned, and this needs to be specific. There must be discernment and testing going on in regard to what people proclaim from the pulpit and say in the public arena. By and large, the church of today is a 99-cent store where there is a plethora of cheap heretical teachings available for anyone to grab. And church attendees gobble it up without a second thought, because the person behind the pulpit sounds sincere and claims to be biblical. And the congregation is too biblically illiterate to notice any of it. Biblical and theological illiteracy is a major problem in America, and I fear for what it means in regard to the spiritual state of many of those who profess to be a Christian. Many may have a problem with this naming names, calling it slander, but this is in no way defaming, malicious, or a false or unjustified injury of the good reputation of another. I am simply examining the content of one's public message or comments that are said to be done in the name of Christ and testing it against the teaching of Scripture, which has nothing to do with my personal opinion of any one person. All of the issues that will be addressed have to do with the essential doctrines that define the gospel of God's grace and the Christian faith itself. These are major issues that individually need to be taken very seriously. All of these issues are present in any one instance in Scripture, where a clear line is drawn between belief and unbelief, salvation and no salvation. One last note, I have altered my voice, simply because I do not have a radio voice. This serves as a blog post type format, but people don't like to read, so this is a way they can listen.